want to educate the South Africans youths what the sacrifices of an Igbo man is, or was, or has been, and will always be to save anybody anywhere, no matter who that person is, as long as that person is fighting for justice. How many of you know Jaja Wachuku? Let me just rush it. Jaja Wachuku, the Nigerian prince and statesman who saved Nelson Mandela. This morning, stand up for what is right in an unjust society. Silence is a crime. This video is strictly to talk to our brothers, South Africans, especially the youth, the younger generation of South Africa. See, I just want to make myself very clear here. I cannot and will never support illegality or manipulation, not even intimidation of any sort. I am not a child not to understand the humiliation, marginalization, suppression, nationally and internationally, the Igbo race has been into, yet I cannot support any sort of illegality, any sort of propaganda, any sort of, disorderliness. I cannot. But I want to make something very clear. Wherever the Igbos found themselves or find themselves, they try to associate a group which must have leadership that represent themselves, to see the affairs of themselves. Whenever authorities want to complain, the authorities go to the leadership to complain. If there is anything, complain. In fact, anything that relates to the Igbos, the immigrants, you have to report to a leadership that will spread the message to them. Having said that, I also want to make it very clear that whenever you see them trying to institute a kind of traditional or what look like a political gathering of Eze or whatever you might insinuate or call it, it is strictly for them and not for you. Forget the fact that the government at home is still fighting hard to destabilize anything Igbo. No matter who is there representing them, as long as you're related to that government at home, they still don't like us. But you cannot do anything. You cannot change it. We are who we are. We are the reason why Nigeria is still a secular state. Though they denied Islamization, preempted by Nzogu today, it is very obvious. They cannot hide it for so long, even though they prohibited the history. Now I want to do what I'm going to tell you. It is not about the contribution of Nigeria as a country, both in finance and in teaming up, organizing groups. But I mean a single Igbo man, the sacrifices of a single Igbo man to save the life of a nationalist, Nelson Mandela. Then how Jaja Wachuku, a prominent Nigerian politician, saved Nelson Mandela from death penalty in 1964. Listen, and I'm saying this for the government also to take records, because the government should not sweep these histories under the carpet. These things that is happening today, we don't see them during the time when Mandela was alive. It was after his death that the uproar of Gary Bowman and do whatever you want to him or her started. Today youth need to be taught. The home brain is given, analytical thinking is expected. Jaja Wachuku is a name that can never be forgotten in the annals of Nigeria history. Like I said, the country struggled for independence. Jaja Wachuku during his lifetime had a good reputation on both national and international levels for his selfless acts and strives for equity. In 1964, Jaja Wachuku saved South Africa's Nelson Mandela from death penalty during the Rivonia trial, which took place in South Africa between 9th of October 1963 and 12th of June 1964. Nelson Mandela and 12 other South African political leaders who topped the list of people wanted by the South African police in 1961 went into hiding, but were found and arrested in 1963 on Lily's Leaf Farm, Rivonia, the suburb of Johannesburg. As at that time, Mandela had been labeled a terrorist by the US government, and along with other 12 politicians, he was convicted for sabotage. He pleaded guilty to sabotaging the government, but denied all the charges. While in prison, Nelson Mandela became more radical and was feared more by the government. During his trial in Rivonia, he rendered a 3-hour speech in which he said, "I am prepared to die," and was found guilty, then sentenced to death in 1964. As at the time, Jaja Wachuku, the first Speaker of the House of Representatives in Nigeria, was the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria and had already served as the first ambassador and paramount representative of Nigeria to the United Nations. Jaja Wachuku, as aforementioned, had a good reputation in his field of work, and thus had a good relationship with top officials in the United Nations and the President of the United States. Jaja Wachuku, who believed in Nelson Mandela and his cause, saw his death sentence as a display of injustice and used his influence and connections to intervene in Mandela and the other 12 politicians' deaths. Not just Mandela, but 12 others. After Jaja Wachuku's intervention, the death sentence of Nelson Mandela and the other 12 South African politicians was changed to life imprisonment. However, Mandela spent only 27 years and 8 months of the life sentence, as he was released on the 11th of February 1990 by President F.W.D. Clark. Jaja Anusha Nwachukwu, a royal prince of Ngwaland in current-day Abia State, in the Igbo part of the eastern Nigeria, was born on the 1st of January 1918. He was a Pan-Africanist politician, diplomat, and a lawyer. He was the first Speaker of the Nigerian House of Representatives and, as well, the first Nigerian ambassador. I've said this before. So what I want to say in a very nutshell is that the government of today need to teach the young ones, and they shouldn't sweep this under the carpet. And they try to ask the people real questions, communicate with them, create alliance with them, know exactly what their intention is, make your inquiries, investigate deep. No political undertone. Don't humiliate people for no reason, please. And I also want to advise our brothers and sisters out there in South Africa and in every other country where you find yourself, always approach the government in whatever you want to do. Make them understand your intentions and cite examples, and never you deviate or digress from that. Because you know what the home has become. They are pursuing you there, they are hunting you there badly, and they are the one that will release public and official statements against you. So always keep your hands straight. The South African government, call your youth, your citizens to order. Mandela may not be alive today, but posterity is recording. The Igbos are like the Israelites. You cannot wipe them away from this planet Earth. You cannot, God. Yes, they are contributing a whole lot, although there are bad eggs in them, among them, just like there are bad eggs in every other society. Thank you, and God bless you. Share this video and make something out of it. Thank you. Stand up for what is right now and just society. Silence is a crime. For those more updates.